The explosion tore through the third floor before Staff Sergeant Maya Reeves could blink. Concrete dust erupted across her scope, a clean miss from somewhere east. Not artillery, too precise. Through the settling haze, movement flickered in the shattered window frame. Small, erratic. A child's hand, waving through smoke like a white flag no one had authorized. Her spotter's voice crackled. Thermal confirms one signature, 4th floor, grid 37 Alpha. Then command, cold as January. Airstrike approved, 20 minutes, clear the sector. Maya's finger rested outside the trigger guard, useless. The kid was 7 blocks deep in hostile territory, surrounded by fighters who'd use him as bait. Her jaw tightened. There's a child down there. Silence. Then, do not compromise position, Reaper 6. That's an order. The UAV's feed painted the building red. Target confirmed. The boy kept waving. The dawn call to prayer had ended 2 hours ago, leaving Kirkuk's industrial district submerged in the kind of silence that made Maya's skin crawl. She lay prone on the rooftop of a half-collapsed textile factory, her M110 SASS rifle bedded into a sandbag rest that smelled like motor oil and rat piss. The scope's reticle tracked a convoy 3 clicks south, 5 MRAPs threading through rubble like slugs through broken glass. Winds shifted, her spotter murmured. Corporal Danny Ortiz, 23, baby-faced, still believed the rules mattered. 2.1 from the east, compensate left. Maya didn't answer. She'd already adjusted. The lead vehicle's commander stood halfway out of the turret, scanning rooftops with binoculars. Rookie mistake. She could drop him before his brain registered the sound. But that wasn't today's job. Today was shepherding, making sure the Army's withdrawal from this godforsaken district didn't turn into a photo op for Al-Shabaab's Twitter feed. Reaper 6, this is Griffin Actual. The voice in her earpiece belonged to Lieutenant Colonel Sam Harding, 58, 3 deployments, 1 failed marriage. He'd taught her to shoot when she was fresh out of sniper school. Now he sat in an air-conditioned TOC 12 miles away, pushing pixels on a screen. Convoys passing Checkpoint Bravo in 6 mics. Keep eyes on those eastern windows. Copy, Griffin. Eastern sector clear. Maya's voice was flat, professional. Ortiz shot her a glance. She ignored it. The convoy rolled past a burned-out pharmacy. A dog limped through the intersection, ribs showing. Maya tracked it through her scope for 3 seconds, confirming it wasn't wired. The Iraqis had done that once in Mosul, stuffed a puppy with C4 and waited for some Marine to pick it up. She'd watched that happen from 800 meters, put 2 rounds into the trigger man before the blast cleared. Reaper 6, be advised, Harding's voice again. ISR shows thermal activity in sector 4 Delta. Possible civilian cluster. Command wants confirmation before clearing for departure. Maya pivoted left, sweeping her scope across the grid coordinates. Sector 4 Delta was a residential block, 3-story apartments with clotheslines strung between balconies like surgical sutures. Most windows were dark, boarded, but one second-floor flat showed movement, faint, flickering. Griffin, I've got eyes on 4 Delta, confirmed thermals, multiple signatures, could be squatters. Roger, maintain surveillance. We're not leaving potential hostiles in our 6. Ortiz adjusted the spotting scope, his breathing steady. Good kid, too green to know that maintain surveillance was officer speak for someone else will decide if they live or die. The convoy disappeared around a corner. Maya's world shrank to the reticle, in the building, and the weight of her finger outside the trigger guard. 2 hours later, the sun had turned the rooftop into a griddle. Maya's uniform was soaked through, salt stains blooming across her shoulders. Ortiz had cycled through 3 bottles of water and was eyeing the 4th like a man in love. How long you been doing this? He asked, breaking the silence. Long enough to know you don't ask questions on Overwatch. Right, Sorry, he paused. It's just, most snipers I've met are different. Different how? I don't know, quieter? You actually talk sometimes. Maya snorted. You want quiet, request a transfer to Reaper 2. Jennings hasn't said a word since Fallujah. She scanned the sector again, methodical. Left to right, rooftop to street level, every shadow cataloged. Quiet doesn't make you a better shot, it just makes you lonely. Ortiz didn't respond. Smart. The radio crackled. Reaper 6, Griffin actual. Convoys reached Rally Point Charlie. We're clear to reposition. Copy, Griffin. Moving to secondary. The explosion cut her off. Not close, 2 clicks east, maybe more, but loud enough to rattle the loose rebar in the wall behind them. A column of black smoke climbed into the sky like a question mark. Jesus! Ortiz scrambled for the spotting scope. Griffin, Reaper 6. Explosion in Sector 6 Echo. Confirm status. Harding's voice was tight. Negative contact with convoy. Stand by. Maya's scope swept east. The smoke was rising from a cluster of apartment buildings near the old bazaar. Not military, civilian. She could see the shattered facade of a corner building. Windows blown out, fire licking through the gaps. Griffin, I've got visual. Building collapse. No secondary explosions. Looks like indirect fire. Copy. ISR confirms mortar launch from Grid 7 Foxtrot. Enemies using the convoy movement as cover. All call signs be advised. Sector is now hot. Ortiz's face had gone pale. They're shelling civilians? They're shelling whatever keeps us busy. Maya kept her voice even, clinical. This was the part where emotion got people killed. Pack the gear. We're moving to elevated position, north side. But before Ortiz could move, Harding's voice returned, slower this time. Careful. Reaper 6, new tasking. ISR's picking up a thermal signature in the impact zone. 4th floor, building 37 Alpha. Single target. Confirm and assess. Maya swung her scope toward the coordinates. The building was a gutted shell, half its eastern wall missing. Smoke poured through the gaps. And there, in the wreckage of a 4th floor window, movement. Small. Too small. Her breath caught. Through the scope, the world became geometry. Angles, distance, wind. Maya's training had taught her to see people as shapes, threats as patterns. But this shape was wrong. 4 feet tall, maybe less, standing in a window frame that no longer had glass, surrounded by fire. Griffin, Reaper 6, confirmed thermal, 1 signature, juvenile, no adults visible. Silence on the radio. Then, say again, Reaper 6? It's a kid, sir, alone, 4th floor, building 37 Alpha. Ortiz leaned into the spotting scope. Oh, hell. The child, boy, maybe 7 or 8, was waving, not frantically, methodically. Left hand raised, right hand gripping the window frame. Like he'd been taught what to do if you're lost. Stay visible, make noise, someone will come. But no one was coming. Maya's jaw tightened. Griffin, we need Kazovac on that position. Kid's trapped. Negative, Reaper 6. Harding's voice had shifted into command mode, the tone he used when orders came from higher up the chain. Sector 6 Echo is designated hostile. No friendly forces in the area. Sir, it's a child. I copy your assessment, Sergeant. Stand by. The radio went dead. Maya's finger twitched outside the trigger guard. Useless. A sniper rifle couldn't carry a kid out of a burning building. Couldn't call in a medevac. Couldn't do a damn thing except watch. Ortiz's voice was quiet. What do? We wait. For what? Maya didn't answer. The boy had stopped waving. He was looking down now at something inside the room. Smoke curled around him like a living thing. 3 minutes later, Harding's voice returned, colder than before. Reaper 6, be advised. Fast movers inbound for Grid 6 Echo. Time on target, 18 minutes. You are ordered to maintain surveillance and confirm hostiles in adjacent structures. Maya's stomach dropped. Sir, did you copy my last? There's a child. I copied, Sergeant, and I've escalated to battalion. Answer is no go. Enemies using that block as a staging area. ISR confirms at least 12 military-age males moving through the sector. The airstrike is approved. 12 MAMs doesn't justify. That's not your call. Harding's voice softened just slightly. Maya, listen to me. That kid is already dead. Building's on fire. Even if we scrambled a team, they wouldn't make it in time. And we're not risking 8 soldiers for 1 civilian in a hot zone. You know the math. She did. She'd done the math 100 times. 1 life versus 8. 1 kid versus a convoy. 1 soul versus the mission. The equation always came out the same. But the boy was still waving. Griffin, we can guide him out. There's got to be a safe route through the ground floor. Negative. You are not to compromise your position. That's an order, Reaper 6. Sir, do you copy? Maya's knuckles were white around the rifle stock. Ortiz was staring at her, waiting. The UAV feed on her wrist display painted the building in orange and red. Thermal bloom spreading through the structure. The boy's signature was shrinking, fading into the heat. Reaper 6, do you copy? Copy, Griffin. Good. Maintain overwatch. Mark any hostiles. Fast movers will level the block in 17 minutes. Griffin actual, out. The radio clicked off. Silence flooded back in, heavy as the heat. Ortiz opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. We're not really just gonna... Shut up, Ortiz. Maya's hands moved on autopilot. She pulled her range card from her pocket, unfolded it across the sandbag rest. Grid 3-7-Alpha, 400 meters, direct line. Eastern sector, clear. She could see the entire route from their position to the target building. 3 intersections, 2 alleys, 1 open courtyard, 17 minutes. Her hand reached for the radio handset, then stopped. If she called it in again, Harding would relieve her. Send someone else. Someone who'd follow orders. Someone who'd watch that kid burn and write it up as collateral damage, unavoidable. Ortiz was watching her. Sarge? Maya stared through the scope. The boy had moved to the other side of the window now, looking east, toward them, like he could feel her watching. How fast can you run 400 meters, Corporal? Ortiz blinked. What? In full kit, with cover fire. How fast? Jesus, Sarge, we can't answer the question. He swallowed. 3 minutes, maybe 2:30 if I dump the ruck. Maya did the math again. Different equation this time. 2:30 to reach the building, 2 minutes to climb 4 floors, 1 minute to grab the kid, 2:30 back. 8 minutes total, plus margin for error. 17 minutes, minus 8, 9 minutes to spare. Her finger moved inside the trigger guard. Listen carefully, Maya said, her voice low and fast. You're going to move to the north stairwell. Take the back route through the pharmacy. I'll cover every window, every corner. You grab the kid, you come straight back. No heroics, no sightseeing. You see a weapon, you call it, and I drop them. Ortiz's eyes were wide. This is insane. Probably. We'll get court-martialed. Only if we're alive to prosecute. Maya's scope tracked the route one more time, marking firing lanes. But that kid's not dying today. Not on my watch. Ortiz stared at her for 3 long seconds. Then he started stripping off his ruck, keeping only his sidearm and a trauma kit. For the record, he muttered, you're a terrible influence. Noted, now move. He scrambled down the ladder. Maya's scope was already sweeping the sector, hunting threats. The street below was empty, too empty. The locals knew what was coming. They'd cleared out hours ago. Only the dead and the desperate stayed behind. Reaper 6, Ortiz is moving. His voice crackled in her ear, breathless already. Crossing first intersection. Clear, Keep moving. Her reticle tracked him through the gaps between buildings. 40 meters. 60. A shadow flickered in a second-story window. Male, military age, no weapon visible. She held fire. Not a threat. Yet. Second intersection. Clear. Watch your left. Doorway at 10 o'clock. I see it. 100 meters. Her breathing slowed, deepened. This was the part she was good at. The stillness. The patience. She could sit here for 6 hours without moving, without thinking, just watching, waiting for the moment when geometry and physics and human stupidity converged into a single, perfect shot. But today she was the geometry. Ortiz was the bullet. Approaching target building, his voice was ragged now. Front entrance is blocked. Trying the east side. Negative, east side is exposed. Circle around to the alley, south entrance. Copy. A figure emerged from a doorway 2 buildings over. Male, late 20s, carrying something long and dark. AK pattern. Maya's finger kissed the trigger. Ortiz, freeze! He dropped into a crouch behind a pile of rubble. Maya's scope tracked the fighter. He was scanning the street, rifle up, methodical. Looking for targets. Looking for her. Range, 435 meters. Wind, negligible. Target is moving, 2 miles per hour, left to right. Lead by half a torso. Her breath stopped. The world narrowed to the reticle, in the man, in the space between heartbeats. The rifle kicked. The brass pinged off concrete. The man dropped like someone had cut his strings. Clear, move! Ortiz bolted for the alley. Maya was already scanning for the next threat. 2 more fighters appeared from the building's ground floor. No, 3. All armed. All moving toward the sound of her shot. Ortiz, you've got company. 3 contacts, ground level, moving to the south entrance. I'm inside. Stairs are half gone. Climbing. Maya's scope tracked the fighters. They weren't shooting, just watching. Waiting. Smart. They knew someone was overwatching. They were trying to draw her out, get her to reveal her position with another shot. She obliged. The first fighter took a round through the upper chest. The second dove for cover. The third fired blindly at her rooftop. Impact sparked off the wall, 6 feet to her left. Amateur. She adjusted. Breathed. Fired. He dropped. 2 down, 1 hiding. Keep moving. 3rd floor. Ortiz's breathing was coming in gasps. Smokes. Hell, I can't see. Follow the heat. Kids on the 4th floor, west side. Copy. 15 minutes left. Maya's scope swept the sector. More movement. 4, no 5, fighters converging on the target building. They'd heard the shots. They knew someone was inside. She could drop 2, maybe 3 before they reached cover. But the others would get through. Her radio crackled. Not Ortiz. Harding. Reaper 6, sit rep. We're tracking multiple heat signatures converging on your sector. Confirm your position. Maya's jaw clenched. She could lie. Say she was still on Overwatch. Buy another 5 minutes. But Harding wasn't stupid. He could see the same ISR feed she could. He knew. Griffin, Reaper 6. Situation is developing. That's not a sit rep, Sergeant. I'm aware, sir. A pause. Long enough for Harding to do his own math. Long enough for him to decide whether to relieve her or trust her. Maya. His voice was quiet now. Off the record. Tell me you didn't do what I think you did. Can't do that, sir. Another pause, then. How long do you need? 10 minutes. You've got 7. After that, I can't hold the strike. The radio went dead. Ortiz's voice burst through her earpiece, frantic. I've got him! 4th floor, west room. Kid scared shitless, but he's alive. Copy. Extract now. 7 minutes. There's a problem. Maya's scope tracked another fighter entering the building. Talk to me. The stairs collapse below us. Can't get down the way I came up. Then find another way. I'm looking. A crash. wood splintering. There's a fire escape on the north side. Rusted to hell, but it's still attached. Use it, I'll cover your descent. She swung her rifle to the north face of the building. The fire escape was visible, barely, a skeletal frame of metal clinging to crumbling brick. It wouldn't hold for long, but it didn't have to, just long enough. Moving now, Ortiz grunted. Kid's on my back, Jesus, he won't stop crying. Keep him quiet, noise draws fire. Yeah, I'll just explain that in Arabic. A rifle cracked, not hers. Rounds sparked off the fire escape, inches from Ortiz's head. Maya's scope tracked the muzzle flash. Second story, east building. She fired, missed, fired again. The window went dark. You're clear, keep moving. This thing's gonna collapse. Then move faster. The metal groaned, bolts popping free one by one. Ortiz was halfway down, the boy clinging to his shoulders like a monkey. Third floor, second floor. The bottom ladder was missing. 10-foot drop to the alley below. I'm jumping. Do it. He dropped, landed hard, rolled, came up running with the kid still attached. Maya's scope tracked them through the alley, marking threats. 2 fighters at the intersection ahead. She dropped the first. The second ducked behind a car. Go left, left. Ortiz veered, boots pounding concrete. The fighter popped up, rifle tracking. Maya's round punched through the car door and into his chest. He folded. Clear. 200 meters to rally point. Copy, contact front. 3 more fighters spilled into the street, firing on full auto. Rounds stitched the ground around Ortiz's feet. Maya's rifle barked 3 times, fast and smooth. 2 dropped. The third went prone, returning fire at her position. She felt the impacts, close, too close, concrete fragments stinging her face. She adjusted, fired. He stopped moving. 100 meters, haul ass, Corporal. Ortiz didn't answer, just ran. The boy's wails echoed off the buildings, a sound that would haunt Maya's dreams for years. But right now, it meant he was alive, still breathing, still worth saving. 50 meters. Reaper 6, Griffin actual. Fast movers are 2 minutes out. You need to be clear of that sector now. Almost there, sir. 20 meters. Ortiz stumbled, caught himself, kept moving. He rounded the corner into the rally point, a recessed doorway with hard cover on 3 sides. Maya saw him go to ground, saw him set the boy down, saw him check for injuries. We're clear, Ortiz gasped. Kid's intact, no wounds. The world went white. The mortar round hit 30 feet from Ortiz's position, close enough to blow out windows, far enough to miss flesh. But it wasn't alone. 3 more impacts followed, walking up the street in a practiced pattern. Someone was adjusting fire. Someone with a radio and a good vantage point. Someone like her. Maya's blood went cold. She spun her rifle east, scanning rooftops. There, 800 meters, elevated position, partially concealed. A figure behind a rifle, long barrel, bipod, scope glint, counter sniper. The realization hit her like a physical blow. They'd known. The enemy had watched her covering Ortiz, tracked her shots, calculated her position, and now they had her ranged. She rolled left as the round snapped past, so close she felt the displacement. It punched through the sandbag where her head had been, spraying sand like blood. Reaper 6 taking fire, counter sniper, grid 8 Delta. Copy, can you suppress? Negative, he's got the angle. She low-crawled to the ladder, rifle dragging. Ortiz, sit tight, I'm repositioning. Where are you going? Anywhere but here. She dropped down the ladder, boots hitting the floor below. Her left shoulder throbbed, shrapnel, maybe, or just impact. Didn't matter. She had 90 seconds before the airstrike turned this whole sector into a parking lot. The counter sniper fired again. The round punched through the wall above her head. showering her with plaster. He was walking shots, adjusting, professional, patient, everything she'd taught herself to be. Maya sprinted for the stairwell, taking steps 3 at a time. Her radio crackled with Harding's voice. Urgent now. Reaper 6, fast movers have visual. They're holding for your mark, but we are out of time. Copy, 1 minute. She burst onto the 3rd floor landing, moving to the west-facing window. New angle, new geometry. She set up fast, rifle braced on the sill, scope tracking back to grid 8 Delta. There, the counter-sniper had moved too. He was relocating, smart enough to know she'd shift. But in moving, he'd exposed himself. Just for a second, just enough. Range, 827 meters. Wind, negligible. Target is stationary, center mass. Her finger pressed the trigger. The rifle kicked. Through the scope, she saw him jerk. Hit, but not down. Body armor. He rolled behind cover, wounded but alive. Griffin, target is suppressed but not neutralized. Recommend immediate. The building shook. Not mortars this time. Something bigger. The airstrike. The jets were on station. Reaper 6, you are danger close. Confirm you're clear of the impact zone. Maya ran. Down the stairs, through the ground floor, out into the street where Ortiz was waiting with the boy. She grabbed them both, hauling them toward the nearest hardcover, a concrete drainage culvert 50 meters west. The F-16s came in low, so low she could see the pilot's helmet. The GBU-38s fell like judgment, 500 pounds of high explosive each. The impact zone erupted, buildings collapsing inward, fire and smoke rolling outward in a wave that chased them into the culvert. Maya threw herself over the boy as the blast wave hit, a fist of compressed air that squeezed her lungs flat. Debris rained down, concrete, rebar, something that might have been a door. Ortiz was screaming something she couldn't hear. Then silence. Maya lifted her head. The sector was gone. Just smoke and rubble and the distant sound of alarms. The boy was underneath her, eyes wide, covered in dust, but breathing. She pulled him up, checked him over. No blood, no breaks. Miracle. Ortiz was laughing, that insane post-combat laugh that meant he couldn't believe he was alive. Holy shit, we did it. Maya's radio crackled, Harding's voice tight with something between relief and rage. Reaper 6, Griffin actual, confirmed status. She keyed the handset, eyes still on the ruins. Griffin, Reaper 6, we're alive. Civilian is secure. Sector is neutralized. Copy. QRF is inbound to your position. Stay put. Roger. She let the handset drop. The boy was staring at her, saying something in Arabic she didn't understand. She didn't need to. The look in his eyes said enough. But her own eyes were fixed on the smoke, on the rubble where the counter-sniper had been. Wounded. Not dead. Somewhere in that wreckage he was still out there, and now he knew exactly who she was. The QRF Humvee smelled like diesel and blood. Maya sat in the back, rifle across her lap, watching the boy. He'd stopped crying 10 minutes ago. Now he just stared at his hands, turning them over like he was checking if they were real. Ortiz sat across from them, cleaning his sidearm with mechanical precision, the kind of busy work that kept your hands from shaking. The vehicle hit a pothole. The boy flinched. Maya's hand moved to his shoulder, stopped halfway. She wasn't good at this part. The comfort, the human touch. She was good at distance, at watching through glass, at making problems disappear before they got close enough to matter. Reaper 6, Griffin actual. Harding's voice cut through her earpiece, professional again. The crisis tone was gone, replaced by the careful neutrality of a man preparing to write a difficult report. Sit rep on the civilian? Stable, no visible injuries, possible smoke inhalation. He needs a medical eval. Copy. QRF is routing you to FOB Hammer, Battalion surgeon will check him out, then we'll hand him to ICRC for repatriation. Repatriation. Pretty word for, we're giving him back to the war. Maya's jaw tightened. What about family? We're working on it. Focus on getting back safely. We'll debrief when you're in. The radio clicked off. Ortiz looked up from his pistol. You think they'll actually find his family? No. Jesus, Sarge. What do you want me to say? His neighborhood just got leveled. If his parents were alive, they'd have come for him. She kept her voice flat, clinical, facts only, no emotion. Best case, he's got an uncle in Herbal. Worst case, he goes to an orphanage and we never see him again. That's pretty dark. That's realistic. She turned to the window, watching the ruins slide past. Somewhere in that rubble was the counter-sniper, wounded but breathing, probably already extracted by his own people, probably already planning round two. The thought should have worried her. Instead, it felt almost like relief. A problem she understood, a threat she could quantify. Range, wind, cover, concealment. The clean mathematics of murder. The boy's hand touched her sleeve. She looked down. He was holding something out to her. A small wooden toy, a car, half burned. One of the wheels was missing. He said something in Arabic, soft and urgent. Ortiz leaned forward. I think he's trying to thank you. Tell him he doesn't need to. I don't speak Arabic. Then mime it. But the boy was already pressing the toy into her hand, his fingers closing around hers. His eyes were too old for 7, too knowing. He'd seen things a kid shouldn't see, done things a kid shouldn't have to do, survived when he shouldn't have. Maya closed her hand around the toy. Tell him he's safe now. Ortiz tried. The boy didn't react, just stared at her with those ancient eyes. The Humvee rolled to the gates of FOB Hammer 20 minutes later. The base was a fortress of HESCO barriers in concertina wire, carved out of the desert like a scar. Generators hummed, radios chattered. Somewhere, a mortar crew was running drills, the thump of tubes echoing across the compound. Maya stepped out, rifle slung, and was immediately met by a Navy corpsman with a medical kit and a tired expression. This the kid? Yeah, I'll take it from here. He knelt down, speaking slowly in broken Arabic, gesturing to his stethoscope. The boy watched him with that same hollow stare, but let himself be guided toward the medical tent. Maya watched him go, felt the weight of the wooden car in her pocket. Reaper 6, Harding's voice behind her, not on the radio, in person. She turned. He stood in the doorway of the TOC, 58 years old and every one of them showing. Gray hair cropped close, lines carved deep around his eyes. The posture of a man whose spine had forgotten how to relax. He'd been her instructor at sniper school, back when she was a private who couldn't hit a torso at 300 meters. Now she could put a round through a playing card at 800. He'd taught her that, and a lot of other things she was trying to forget. Sir, walk with me. They moved away from the Humvees toward the perimeter wall where the noise faded and the desert opened up like a question. Harding pulled out a cigarette, lit it, took a long drag. He'd quit 6 years ago, started again 3 months into this deployment. You want to tell me what the hell that was? A successful extraction, sir. That's not what I asked. He exhaled smoke. You disobeyed a direct order, compromised your position, endangered your spotter, and triggered an airstrike 2 minutes early because you decided one kid was worth more than mission discipline. Maya kept her eyes on the horizon. The mission was Overwatch. I maintained Overwatch. Ortiz secured the civilian. Nobody died, except the 12 hostiles in that sector. Acceptable losses. Harding laughed, sharp, bitter. Christ, Maya, you sound like me 20 years ago. He took another drag. You know what happens now, right? Battalion's already drafting the report. They're going to ask why you broke chain of command, why you risked assets for a single non-combatant. Why you engaged a counter-sniper instead of withdrawing? And what are you going to tell them? He studied her for a long moment. Then he dropped the cigarette, ground it under his boot. I'm going to tell them you made a tactical decision under fire, that the civilian extraction was a secondary objective you executed without compromising primary mission parameters, and that the counter-sniper engagement was necessary to prevent further casualties. That's a lie, sir. That's leadership. He turned to face her fully. But here's the thing, Maya. I can cover for you this time. Maybe even the next. But that sniper you traded shots with, he's not going to forget. And neither are his friends. You painted a target on yourself today. I'm aware. Are you? Harding stepped closer, voice dropping. Because I've seen this before. Sniper gets personal, starts thinking the mission is about them instead of the objective, starts taking risks, and then one day, they don't come back. Maya met his eyes. Is that what happened to you, sir? The silence stretched long enough to hurt. Then Harding smiled, sad, empty. Get some rest, Reaper 6. We're moving operations tomorrow. New sector, new targets. And if that counter-sniper's still breathing, he'll be looking for you. He walked away, leaving Maya alone with the desert and the weight in her pocket. The barracks were a row of prefab containers that baked during the day and froze at night. Maya sat on her bunk, cleaning her rifle with the methodical precision of ritual. Bolt carrier group disassembled, carbon scraped away, oil applied in thin layers. The smell of CLP and gunpowder, comfort and curse. Ortiz sat across from her, writing a letter home. Actual paper, actual pen, old-fashioned. His hand moved in slow loops, crossing out words, starting over. You ever think about what you're gonna do? He asked without looking up. After this? After what? After the war, when we go home. Maya inspected the bolt face, checking for cracks. There's always another war. That's not an answer. Sure it is. She reassembled the bolt carrier, smooth and fast. Muscle memory. You think guys like us just clock out and become accountants? We're good at one thing, Ortiz, and it's not making spreadsheets. I don't know. I think I could be good at spreadsheets. He smiled, tentative. My dad ran a hardware store in Tucson. Maybe I'll do that. Help people fix their leaky faucets, sell paint on Saturdays. Sounds boring. Sounds safe. He folded the letter, tucked it into an envelope. You really don't think about it? Life after? Maya slid the bolt back into the upper receiver, locked it down. I think about the next shot, the next mission. Thinking past that just gets you killed. Or keeps you alive. She didn't answer, just started cleaning the barrel, running patches through until they came out white. Outside, someone laughed, sharp and too loud, the kind of laughter that came from fear and exhaustion. A generator coughed, died, kicked back on. The FOB's heartbeat, irregular and weak. Her phone buzzed, not the military-issue brick, her personal cell, the one that somehow still got signal out here. A message from her sister. Haven't heard from you in 3 weeks. Mom's worried. Call when you can. Maya stared at the screen. Her sister's name was Rebecca. She taught middle school in Oregon, married a dentist, had 2 kids and a golden retriever, lived in a house with a yard and a fence, and neighbors who waved when you took out the trash. Maya hadn't been home in 2 years. She put the phone away, picked up the wooden car the boy had given her, turned it over in her hands. The missing wheel made it lopsided, broken, but still recognizably what it was supposed to be. Sarge! Ortiz's voice pulled her back. You okay? Fine. You've been staring at that thing for 5 minutes. She set the toy on the shelf above her bunk, next to a photo of her sniper school class. 30 faces, all young, all sure they'd make it. 8 of them were dead now. 3 more had eaten their pistols after coming home. The rest were scattered across bases like this one, trying to remember why they'd signed up in the first place. Get some sleep, Ortiz. We roll out at 0500. Where are we going? Wherever they tell us. She lay back on the bunk, rifle within arm's reach, and stared at the ceiling. The metal was stained with rust and water damage, patterns that looked like continents or blood stains, hard to tell in the dark. Sleep didn't come. It never did the first night after a kill. Her mind replayed the shots, the counter-sniper's position, his movement patterns, the way he'd rolled behind cover, even with a round in his vest. Professional, disciplined, dangerous. He'd be back, and next time he'd know her tactics, her tendencies, the way she adjusted for wind, the way she favored left-side cover. Every habit was a liability. Every pattern was a death sentence. She'd have to change, adapt, become someone he couldn't predict. The thought should have worried her. Instead, it felt like coming home. The TOC at 0530 was all artificial light and stale coffee. Maya stood with 6 other snipers, studying the map projected on the wall. Red squares marked hostile positions. Blue triangles marked friendly forces. The gap between them was a killing field called Sector 9 Foxtrot. Harding stood at the front, pointer in hand, face carved from stone. Gentlemen, lady, as of 0400 this morning, our situation has changed. He tapped a cluster of red squares. IISR confirms enemy forces are consolidating in the industrial district. They're using the civilian population as cover, staging attacks on our supply routes. Sir, one of the other snipers, Staff Sergeant Carl Jennings, 42, bald, 3 deployments, raised a hand. Rules of engagement? ROE remains weapons tight, positive ID required, but intel suggests they're using children as spotters. If you see a kid with a radio or binos, you call it in. You do not engage without clearance. Maya's jaw tightened. Children with radios. The enemy's favorite tactic. Put a kid on a rooftop, give them a walkie-talkie, and suddenly your sniper can't shoot without committing a war crime, even if that kid is directing mortar fire onto your position. Primary objective, Harding continued, is to secure Overwatch on Route Michigan. Convoys moving through at 1400. Secondary objective, and this is where it gets interesting, we've got intelligence on a high-value target in the area. He clicked to the next slide. A face appeared on the screen. Male, mid-30s, beard, eyes that looked straight through the camera. This is Abu Samir al-Takriti, former Iraqi army sniper, trained by the Russians, confirmed 37 coalition kills. He's been operating in this sector for the past 6 months. Maya's blood went cold. The counter-sniper. Intel says he's planning something big. We don't know what, we don't know when, but if you get a shot, you take it. This one's kill on sight, no questions asked. Jennings whistled low. 37 kills, that's a hell of a resume. That's a problem we're going to solve. Harding's eyes found Maya. Reaper 6, you'll take primary overwatch. Position TBD based on terrain assessment. Reaper 2 will cover your 6. Jennings nodded. Maya didn't react. Questions? Sir, Maya's voice was steady. What's the exfil plan if we make contact? QRF on standby, 5-minute response time. But frankly, if you're in a position where you need exfil, something's already gone wrong. Harding closed the briefing folder. This is a hunter-killer mission, people. Find him, fix him, finish him. Dismissed. The snipers filed out. Maya lingered, studying the photo on the screen. Abu Samir's face was calm, patient, the face of a man who'd learned to wait. Reaper 6, Harding's voice. She turned. He stood by the map, hands behind his back. You understand what this means, right? He knows you're out there. He's going to be hunting you as hard as you're hunting him. I know. This isn't like the others. This isn't some kid with an AK who got lucky. This is a professional, Russian-trained. He'll use your instincts against you, your training, everything that makes you good at this job. Then I'll be better. Harding studied her for a long moment. Then he pulled something from his pocket, a small leather journal, worn and creased. He held it out. What is this? Notes. From every counter-sniper engagement I've ever been in. He pressed it into her hand. Read it. Learn from my mistakes, because I made a lot of them. Maya opened the journal. The pages were filled with cramped handwriting, diagrams, range calculations, and in the margins, names. Sergeants, corporals, privates, all dead. She closed it. Sir, don't thank me. Just don't get your name in there. He turned back to the map. Wheels up in 30. Get your gear. The Hyde site was a third-floor apartment in a gutted residential block, chosen for its overlapping fields of fire and concealment from aerial observation. Maya set up behind a dresser, sandbags packed around the window frame, her rifle resting on a folding bipod. The scope's view encompassed 300 meters of Route Michigan, choke point, kill zone, death trap. Jennings was 2 buildings over, covering her left flank. His voice crackled through the radio, bored and professional. Reaper 2 in position. I've got eyes on your 6. Copy. Maya settled in, breathing slow. This was the part most people didn't understand about sniping. It wasn't the shooting. Any grunt with decent fundamentals could make a shot at 500 meters. The hard part was the waiting, the stillness, the ability to watch the world through a scope for 8 hours without moving, without thinking, without being. She'd once held position for 14 hours in Ramadi, waiting for a bomb maker to show his face. When he finally did, she'd put a round through his left eye from 600 meters. Then she'd packed up and left, legs cramping, bladder screaming, but the shot was clean. Perfect. Worth it. This would be different. Abu Samir wasn't going to just walk into her scope. He'd be patient, careful. He'd wait for her to make a mistake. So she'd wait longer. An hour passed, then 2. The sun climbed, turning the Hyde site into an oven. Sweat soaked through her uniform. Her water was rationed, 1 bottle, sipped in tiny increments. Pissing was a bottle and a lot of concentration. Eating was protein bars that tasted like cardboard. The radio crackled. Reaper 6, Griffin actual. Convoys 20 mics out. Confirms sector is clear. Maya's scope swept the route. Griffin, Reaper 6, no hostiles visible. Sector appears clear. Copy. Stay sharp. Intel says Abu Samir likes to hit convoys at the midpoint. Wait till they're committed, then light them up. Roger. She kept scanning. Rooftops, windows, alleyways, anywhere a shooter could hide. Her training kicked in. Look for the unnatural, the straight line in a world of curves, the shadow that moves wrong, the glint that shouldn't be there. Nothing. Reaper 2, you seeing anything? Negative, it's quiet. Too quiet. He was right. The street was empty. No civilians, no vehicles. Even the dogs had disappeared, like the whole sector was holding its breath. Maya's instincts screamed. Griffin, Reaper 6. Recommend convoy holds position. Something's wrong. Negative, Reaper 6. Convoy is already en route. They're not stopping. Sir, this smells like an ambush. Noted. Maintain overwatch. The first MRAP appeared around the corner, diesel engine growling. Then the second, third, 4 vehicles total, moving at 30 kilometers per hour. Perfect targets. Maya's scope tracked them, looking for the threat she knew was coming. Where are you, Abu Samir? Where are you watching from? Then she saw it. A reflection. 3rd-story window, 600 meters east. Gone in an instant, but enough. Scope glint. Amateur mistake, unless it was bait. Reaper 2, possible contact. Grid 9 Foxtrot 3, 3rd floor, east-facing window. I don't see. Wait, yeah, I've got it. You want me to take it? Negative. Hold fire. Could be a decoy. But her instincts said otherwise. That glint was too deliberate, too obvious. Abu Samir was showing himself, inviting her to shoot, which meant he wasn't there. Maya's blood froze. She spun her rifle left, scanning frantically. If he's not there, where is he? Where would I be if I were hunting me? Her eyes found the building across the street. 4 stories, gutted interior, perfect hide site, and in one of the windows, barely visible. Movement. She didn't think, just fired. The rifle kicked. Through the scope, she saw the window shatter, saw a figure jerk backward. Hit, but not down. The return shot came half a second later. The round punched through the sandbag 6 inches from her head, spraying sand into her eyes. She rolled left, blind, rifle clutched to her chest. Contact! Contact! Reaper 6 taking fire! Jennings's voice. Where? Building across. Another round snapped past, so close she felt the heat. He's got my position. She scrambled backward, away from the window, wiping sand from her eyes. Below, the convoy was under fire now, not from rifles, from RPGs. 2 explosions, one after another, voices screaming on the radio. All call signs. Convoy is taking fire. QRF responding. Maya crawled to a new position. Eastern window, different angle. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline. She forced them steady, controlled her breathing, found the scope. There, Abu Samir was relocating, moving to a new hide. She could see him through the gaps in the walls. A shadow, a shape, barely human. He moved like water, like smoke. She led him, breathed, fired, miss. He dropped behind cover. Damn it! Another shot from his position. This one hit her rifle's bipod, snapping the leg clean off. The weapon twisted in her hands. Broken. Reaper 6, you are danger close to hostile fire. Recommend immediate exfil. Maya stared at her rifle. The scope was cracked. The bipod was gone. But the weapon was still functional, still lethal. She pulled the bipod off completely, braced the rifle against the window frame. Improvised. Adapted. Abu Samir fired again. She fired back. A duel across 600 meters of hostile territory. 2 professionals trading shots like chess players trading pieces. And then, through the scope, she saw him do something unexpected. He stood up, fully exposed, rifle at his side. He was looking at her. Even at this distance, even through broken glass and smoke, she could feel his eyes, studying her, measuring her. Then he smiled and disappeared. The convoy made it through, barely. 1 MRAP disabled, 3 soldiers wounded, but no KIA. Maya sat in the back of a Humvee, staring at her broken rifle like it had betrayed her. Jennings sat across from her, cleaning his own weapon, silent. You had a shot, he finally said. I took it. Not the second one. When he stood up, you had him cold. Maya didn't answer, because he was right. She'd had the shot. Perfect angle, perfect range. But when Abu Samir stood up, when he looked at her, she'd hesitated. Just for a second, just long enough. Why? The Humvee pulled into FOB Hammer. Harding was waiting, face grim. Debrief, now. They sat in the talk, just the 3 of them. Harding pulled up the drone footage, played it back. Maya watched herself fire, watched Abu Samir return fire, watched the moment when she should have killed him, and didn't. Harding froze the frame. You want to explain that? I don't know, sir. You don't know. He leaned back, rubbing his eyes. Maya, you're the best shooter I've ever trained. You've made shots I wouldn't have attempted. But today, you choked. I didn't choke, I engaged. You had a kill shot and you hesitated. Why? The silence was heavy. Maya stared at the frozen image. Abu Samir, standing in the window, exposing himself, daring her. He wanted me to shoot, she said quietly. So what? So, I don't know, it felt like a trap. Harding stood, walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the base in shades of blood and rust. You remember what I told you in sniper school? The first rule of long-range engagement? Distance is safety. Right, and you've lived by that. 600 meters, 800, 1,000. You've kept the world at arm's length for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to be human. He turned to face her. But today, that distance collapsed, and you realized something. What? That he's just like you. The words hit like a slap. Maya opened her mouth, closed it. Harding sat back down. 20 years ago, I was in Mogadishu. Different war, same shit. We were hunting a warlord sniper, guy named Omar. He'd killed 16 of ours. Smart, patient, invisible. He paused, remembering. I tracked him for 3 weeks. Finally got him cornered in a hotel. Had him ranged at 400 meters. Clean shot. What happened? I saw his face, and I realized he was 18 years old. Just a kid. Probably got handed a rifle and told to shoot Americans. Harding's voice was flat. I hesitated. He didn't. Put around 2 inches from my head. I dove for cover, called in an airstrike. They leveled the building. Omar died in the rubble. But you completed the mission. I survived the mission. There's a difference. He pulled out his cigarettes, remembered they were in the talk, put them away. You want to know what kept me up at night? Not the kid I killed. The split second when I saw him as a person instead of a target. That moment of empathy almost got me killed, and it's going to get you killed too if you're not careful. Maya looked at the frozen image again. Abu Samir, smiling. Sir, permission to speak freely? Always. What if that moment of empathy is the only thing keeping us human? Harding was quiet for a long time. Then he stood, moved to the door. Get some rest, Maya. We're going back out tomorrow. And next time, you take the shot. No matter what you see in that scope. He left. Maya sat alone in the TOC, staring at the screen. Abu Samir's smile looked almost sad. Maya didn't sleep. She lay on her bunk, staring at Harding's journal, turning pages slowly. Each entry was a lesson written in blood. Fallujah, 2004. Hesitated on a shot because target was carrying a child. Target dropped the child, unharmed, and fired an RPG into our position. 3 KIA. Lesson: the enemy will use anything to make you hesitate. Mosul, 2016. Tracked a sniper for 6 days, got overconfident, walked into his kill zone. Only survived because my spotter took the round meant for me. PFC Martinez, KIA. Lesson: confidence kills faster than bullets. Baghdad, 2007. Made a perfect shot at 900 meters. Target dropped. Felt nothing. That scared me more than the combat. Lesson: when you stop feeling, you've stopped being a soldier. You're just a weapon. The last entry was dated 3 months ago. Kirkuk, 2024. I'm 58 years old. I've killed 43 people. I remember every face, every shot, every breath they took before I took their last. Some nights I can't tell if I'm haunted by the ones I killed or the ones I didn't. Maybe there's no difference. Maybe we're all just ghosts waiting to be exorcised. Maya closed the journal. Her hands were shaking again. She couldn't make them stop. A knock on the door. She didn't answer. It opened anyway. Ortiz stood there looking uncomfortable. Sarge, you okay? Fine. You don't look fine. You look like what? He hesitated. Like you just saw a ghost. Maya almost laughed. Get out, Ortiz. I brought you something. He held out a plate. MRE enchiladas, heated up, with a side of crackers. You haven't eaten in 12 hours. Not hungry. Yeah, well, you're eating anyway. He set the plate on her footlocker, sat down on the opposite bunk. You want to talk about it? No. Okay. He didn't leave, just sat there, quiet, like his presence alone could fill the void. Maya stared at the food, picked up a fork, took a bite. It tasted like cardboard and regret. You ever kill anyone, Ortiz? He blinked. What? Have you ever taken a life? Looked through a scope and decided someone doesn't get to wake up tomorrow? No, I'm a spotter. I just call the shots. Just. She took another bite. You think that makes you less responsible? I don't know. Does it? No. Maya set the fork down. You're just as guilty. We're all guilty. The guy who pulls the trigger, the guy who spots, the pilot who drops the bomb, the officer who gives the order. We all put the bullet in the chamber. We're all murderers with medals. Ortiz was quiet for a long moment. Then, my dad told me something before I deployed. He said, you're not going there to kill people. You're going there to protect people. If killing is what it takes, then that's what you do. But never forget which one is the mission. Your dad sounds smart. He's a plumber, but yeah, he's pretty smart. Ortiz stood. Get some rest, Sarge. Tomorrow's going to be hell. Tomorrow's always hell. True. He moved to the door, paused. For what it's worth, that kid you saved, he's alive because of you. That counts for something. He left. Maya sat alone, staring at the plate of food she couldn't finish. The wooden car sat on the shelf, watching her with its missing wheel and broken axle. She picked it up, turned it over, saw the burn marks, the scratches, the evidence of survival. Then she stood, walked to the trash can, and threw it away. Some things weren't worth carrying. The mission brief at 0400 was short and brutal. Intel had pinpointed Abu Samir's location, a water treatment plant on the city's edge, abandoned since 2003. He was using it as a staging area. Harding wanted him dead by nightfall. This is a kill mission, he said, pointer tapping the map. No capture, no negotiation. You go in, you find him, you end him. Questions? Maya raised her hand. Sir, this feels like a trap. Everything feels like a trap when you're hunting someone smarter than you. Harding's eyes were hard. But we don't have a choice. He's killed 4 more soldiers in the past week. Command wants him off the board. Permanently. The snipers rolled out at 0500. 3 Humvees carrying 6 shooters and their spotters. Maya rode in the second vehicle, her rifle rebuilt with a new bipod and a fresh scope. Jennings sat across from her, stone-faced. You ready for this? He asked. No. Good. Only idiots are ready for this kind of work. The water treatment plant was a sprawl of concrete and rust, tanks and pipes twisted like a mechanical graveyard. The convoy stopped half a click out, and the snipers moved in on foot, spreading into a loose perimeter. Maya and Ortiz took the eastern approach, low and slow, using the terrain for cover. This is bad, Ortiz whispered. This is really bad. I know. We should pull back, call in an airstrike. And lose him again? No. We finish this. They reached the plant's outer wall, chain-link fence, mostly intact, topped with razor wire. Maya cut through with bolt cutters, moved inside. The interior was a maze of catwalks and shadows, perfect for an ambush. Reaper 6, Reaper 2 in position. Jennings's voice. I've got overwatch on the north side, seeing a lot of good hide sites, too many. Copy, stay sharp. Maya climbed a rusted ladder to the second level, rifle up, scanning. The catwalks creaked under her boots, too loud. Every step announced her presence, but there was no other way. Movement, Ortiz hissed. 3 o'clock, ground level. Maya's scope tracked. A figure, barely visible through the pipes. Male, armed, moving with purpose. That him? Can't tell. Too much concealment. The figure stopped, turned, looked directly at her. Abu Samir. He raised his rifle. Maya fired first. The round sparked off a pipe inches from his head. He dove for cover. She fired again. Miss. Again. Hit, but he was wearing body armor. He rolled, returned fire. Rounds stitched the catwalk, forcing her to duck. All call signs, contact, target is engaged. Gunfire erupted from multiple positions. Not just Abu Samir, he'd brought friends. 5, no, 6 fighters, all armed, all converging on her position. It's an ambush, Jennings's voice, sharp with fear. Pull back, pull back. But there was nowhere to go. The catwalk behind them was cut off. The ladder was exposed. They were trapped. Maya's mind raced. This was the trap. Abu Samir had let them find him, let them walk in, and now he was closing the door. Ortiz were going down, fast rope off the catwalk. Are you insane? You have a better idea? She pulled a coil of paracord from her pack, tied it to the railing, threw it over the edge. 20 feet down to the ground, exposed the whole way. I'll cover you, she said. Go. Ortiz grabbed the rope, rappelled down. Maya fired, 3-round bursts, suppressing the enemy positions. Brass pinged off metal. Smoke filled her lungs. Her magazine ran dry. She dropped it, slammed in a fresh one. I'm down. Go! Maya slung her rifle, grabbed the rope, slid down fast, friction burning through her gloves. Hit the ground hard, rolled, came up with her rifle ready. Abu Samir stepped out from behind a tank. They were 15 feet apart, too close for scopes, too close for distance. This was knife fighting range, and they both knew it. He smiled, that same sad smile from the video feed. You are very good, he said in accented English, but not good enough. Maya's finger was on the trigger. So was his. Standoff. Mexican standoff. Mutually assured destruction. Why? She asked. Why all of this? Because you are here, in my country, killing my people. His smile faded. I am a teacher. Before the war, I taught mathematics. Now I teach death. You don't have to. Neither do you, he tilted his head. But here we are. Footsteps, Ortiz coming around the corner. Abu Samir's eyes flicked left. Half a second. Maya fired. The round caught him in the shoulder, spinning him. He fired back, missing. Maya fired again. Again. He went down, rifle clattering. She advanced, weapon trained on him. He lay on his back, blood spreading across his chest. Not a kill shot. Not yet. Finish it, he rasped. Maya stood over him, finger on the trigger. All she had to do was press. One more pound of pressure, one more name in Harding's journal. But she saw his face, really saw it. The lines around his eyes, the gray in his beard, the resignation. He wasn't a monster. He was a man, a teacher, a father maybe. Someone who'd been handed a rifle and told to kill Americans because that's what war required. Just like her. Her hands shook. Sarge? Ortiz's voice. Take the shot. She couldn't. Sarge! The explosion came from nowhere. A secondary charge hidden in the machinery. The blast threw Maya backward, ears ringing, vision white. When the world came back, Ortiz was pulling her up, screaming something she couldn't hear. Abu Samir was gone. Just blood and empty brass. The medevac helicopter was loud and cold. Maya sat strapped to a bench, staring at her hands. They were shaking, still shaking, wouldn't stop. Ortiz sat across from her, blood-soaked bandage around his leg. Shrapnel wound, non-critical. He'd be fine. But he was staring at her like she'd grown a second head. You had him, he said, voice flat. You had him and you didn't take the shot. Maya didn't answer. Why? I don't know. That's not good enough. He got away because you choked. Again. Ortiz leaned forward, wincing. People are going to die because of you, American soldiers, and their blood is on your hands. I know. Do you? His voice cracked. Because from where I'm sitting, you just threw the mission because you felt bad. Well, guess what? He doesn't feel bad. He's going to kill more of us, and it's your fault. The helicopter landed. Medics swarmed, pulling Ortiz out first. Maya followed, legs numb. Harding was waiting on the tarmac, face carved from granite. Debrief. Now. They walked to the TOC in silence. Inside, Harding pulled up the drone footage, watched the engagement, watched the moment when Maya had Abu Samir dead to rights, watched her hesitate. He turned off the screen. You're done. Sir, you're off the line, Maya. Effective immediately. You're being reassigned to base duties pending a psych eval. You can't. I can, and I am. Harding's voice was cold. You're a liability. To yourself, to your team, to the mission. Whatever's going on in your head, you need to deal with it before you get someone killed. Maya felt something break inside. Not her composure, something deeper. The part of her that had believed she was doing the right thing. That distance made her safe. That she could kill and kill and kill and never pay the price. Permission to speak freely, sir. Denied. Get out. She left. Walked across the base in a daze. Soldiers stared. Word had spread fast. The sniper who choked. The shooter who couldn't shoot. She made it to her barracks, closed the door, and collapsed onto her bunk. And for the first time in 6 years, Staff Sergeant Maya Reeves cried. Midnight. The base was quiet, just the hum of generators and the distant sound of artillery. Maya lay awake staring at the ceiling, Harding's journal in her hands. She'd read it cover to cover. Every entry, every lesson, every ghost. The last page was blank, waiting. She pulled out a pen, started writing. Kirkuk, 2024. I had the shot, perfect angle, perfect conditions, but I saw his face, saw the man behind the weapon, and I couldn't pull the trigger. Maybe that makes me weak. Maybe that makes me human. I don't know anymore. What I do know is this. Distance doesn't protect you. It isolates you, makes you think you're separate from the violence. But you're not. Every shot you take, you carry with you. Every face, every name. And eventually, the weight becomes too much. She closed the journal, set it on Harding's desk. He'd find it in the morning. Then she walked to the armory, checked out her rifle, and headed for the perimeter. Ortiz found her an hour later, lying prone on the wall, scope trained on the horizon. What are you doing? My job. You're off duty, Harding's orders. I know. Maya adjusted her scope, scanning. But Abu Samir's still out there, and he's going to hit us again. Tonight. How do you know? Because it's what I would do. Strike when your enemy is weak, when they're doubting themselves. She glanced at Ortiz. He knows I choked. He'll use that. Push the advantage. And you're just going to sit here and wait for him? No. Maya settled back into her scope. I'm going to be ready. Ortiz was quiet for a long moment. Then he sat down next to her, pulling out his spotting scope. You're insane. Probably. But if you're doing this, I'm doing it with you. You don't have to. Yeah, I do. That's what spotters do. We watch your six, even when you're making terrible decisions. Maya almost smiled. Almost. They sat in silence, watching the darkness, waiting for the shot that would change everything. And at 0347, it came. Muzzle flash, 600 meters east, elevated position. Abu Samir. Maya didn't hesitate this time. She breathed, aimed, fired. The round flew true. The round struck Abu Samir's position, but Maya couldn't confirm the hit through the darkness. The muzzle flash had disappeared. No secondary movement, no thermal signature change on her scope's display. Did you get him? Ortiz whispered, eye pressed to the spotting scope. I don't know. The radio on her belt crackled. Emergency frequency. All call signs, base is under attack. Multiple breach points, grid 2 Alpha through 5 Charlie. QRF respond. Explosions rippled across the western perimeter. Mortars. At least 6 tubes, walking fire across the base in a coordinated pattern. The guard towers lit up with muzzle flashes. Tracers streaked through the darkness like angry fireflies. Son of a bitch. Maya grabbed her gear. He wasn't hunting me. He was positioning for this. The attack? He drew our snipers out, got us looking the wrong direction. She keyed her radio. Griffin Actual, Reaper 6. I've got eyes on the eastern sector. Enemy sniper engaged from grid 8 Echo. Possible spotter positions. Reaper 6, you are not authorized for combat operations. Harding's voice was sharp. Return to barracks immediately. Sir, they're hitting us from... That's an order, Sergeant. Maya looked at Ortiz. He shrugged. Well, we didn't hear that transmission clearly. Too much radio interference. She almost smiled. Comms are terrible tonight. They moved along the perimeter wall, low and fast. The base was chaos. Soldiers running to defensive positions. Humvees racing toward breach points. Officers screaming orders into radios. A mortar round hit the motor pool, turning a fuel truck into a fireball that painted everything orange. Maya climbed a guard tower, set up her rifle on the sandbag wall. Through her scope, she could see them now. At least 20 fighters moving through the ruins beyond the wire. Using the darkness, using the terrain. Professional, coordinated. Abu Samir's work. Range to lead element, she asked. 580 meters, wind negligible. Maya tracked the lead fighter, male, mid-30s, carrying an RPG. He stopped, knelt, aimed at the command post. She adjusted for drop, led him slightly left. Fired. He dropped. The RPG clattered unfired. Hit. Switching targets. She worked methodically. Second fighter. Third. Each shot precise. Each one bought time for the defenders to organize. But there were too many. For every one she dropped, 2 more appeared. Reaper 6, what the hell are you doing? Harding's voice, furious now. Saving your ass, sir. Recommend you concentrate fire on grid 4 Bravo. They're trying to flank the motor pool. A pause. Then, copy. All units shift fire to 4 Bravo. The 50 cal position swung around, tracers hammering into the flank. Fighters scattered. Maya picked off 3 more in the confusion. Ortiz, find me that sniper. Abu Samir's out there somewhere, calling shots. Looking. Nothing. Wait, thermal bloom, grid 9 Delta, elevated. Could be him. Maya swung her rifle. The position was perfect. 800 meters, high ground, clear fields of fire. Exactly where she'd set up if positions were reversed. Through her scope, she saw movement. A figure. Rifle. Scope glint. Abu Samir. He was looking right at her. Their scopes met across 800 meters of darkness. 2 circles of glass reflecting moonlight. 2 professionals recognizing each other. He fired first. The round hit the sandbag 6 inches from Maya's head. She rolled right, returned fire. Miss. He'd already moved. Another round from his position, closer this time. She fired back. 3 rapid shots, suppressing. He's good, Ortiz muttered. Yeah, Maya's jaw was tight. He's me. They traded shots for 90 seconds. Maya firing, Abu Samir repositioning, both of them dancing the lethal ballet of counter-sniper warfare. Neither could get a clean hit, both too skilled, too patient. Then the mortars shifted fire, walking toward the guard tower. We need to move. Ortiz grabbed her arm. Not yet. The first round hit 20 meters away, the second, 10. Maya grabbed her rifle, threw herself down the ladder. They hit the ground as the third round demolished the tower, raining debris and fire. Maya rolled, came up running. Ortiz was behind her, limping on his wounded leg. They made it to cover behind a HESCO barrier just as another mortar strike obliterated where they'd been standing. You okay? She gasped. Peachy. He was bleeding again, leg wound reopened. This is insane. Welcome to war. The firefight raged for another hour. Maya moved through the base like a ghost, setting up, taking shots, relocating before counterfire arrived. She dropped 11 more fighters. lost count of how many near misses Abu Samir scored on her position. They were hunting each other through the chaos. Predator and prey, roles constantly switching. Every time she thought she had him, he was gone. Every time she repositioned, he found her. It was the purest form of combat she'd ever experienced. No politics, no rules of engagement. Just two people with rifles trying to kill each other before dawn. At 0445, the attack broke. The fighters pulled back, dragging their wounded. The mortars went silent. The base burned in a dozen places, but the perimeter held. Maya lay prone on the roof of the TOC, scanning the withdrawal routes, looking for one specific signature. "He's gone," Ortiz said, exhausted. "They all are." "No, he's still there, watching." "How do you know?" "Because I would be." She kept scanning. Eastern sector, northern approach. The water treatment plant in the distance, barely visible in pre-dawn gray. There. Movement on the plant's highest catwalk. Just a shadow, but moving with purpose. Abu Samir, overwatch position, making sure his people got out safely. The range was impossible. 1,200 meters, maybe more. Wind had picked up, gusting, unpredictable. The light was wrong. The angle was wrong. Everything was wrong. Except the shot was there, waiting. Maya adjusted her scope, compensating for every variable she could calculate and guessing at the rest. Her breathing slowed. Her heartbeat steadied. The world narrowed to the reticle and the shadow and the space between them. "Maya!" Harding's voice, soft. He'd climbed onto the roof without her noticing. "Don't. He'll be back, next week, next month. More soldiers will die." "Probably, but that's not your call anymore." He stood beside her, looking through binoculars at the same target. "You're off the line, remember? Then relieve me. I'm trying to save you." "From what?" "From becoming me." Harding lowered the binoculars. "I've killed 43 people, Maya, and I can't tell you which ones were necessary, which ones made a difference. I just know that every single one of them took something from me, and eventually there's nothing left to take." Maya kept her eye to the scope. Abu Samir was moving now, preparing to climb down. 30 seconds and he'd be gone. "What if I'm already empty, sir?" "Then the shot won't change that." Her finger rested on the trigger. 1 pound of pressure, that's all it would take. 1 bullet, 1 death, 1 more name in the journal. She thought about the boy with the wooden car, the child she'd saved, the life that mattered. She thought about Abu Samir's face when he'd said, "I am a teacher." She thought about distance and what it protected and what it destroyed, and she lifted her finger off the trigger. "He's gone," she said quietly. Harding exhaled, tension releasing. "Good call." "Is it?" "I don't know, but it's the human call, and that's worth something." Maya stood, slinging her rifle. The sun was rising, painting the ruins gold. Another day in the war, another chance to choose. "Sir, I need to tell you something." "I'm listening." "I'm done. After this deployment, I'm getting out." Harding nodded slowly. "Good. You'll be missed, but good." "What will you do?" He smiled, sad and empty. "Keep fighting. It's all I know." He turned to leave, paused. "But Maya, don't wait as long as I did to figure out who you are without the rifle. Trust me on that." He left. Maya stood alone on the roof, watching the sun rise over Kirkuk. Abu Samir was a shadow in the distance, climbing down the catwalk. They'd meet again. Maybe. Or maybe they'd both live long enough to become something else. She'd never know which. The base spent the next 12 hours recovering. Body count, 17 enemy KIA, 3 U.S. wounded, 0 friendly fatalities. A victory by any measure. But the talk was quiet, everyone processing what victory meant when it came within inches of disaster. Maya sat in the medical tent, letting a corpsman clean the cuts on her face. Shrapnel and concrete dust. Minor injuries. She'd been lucky. Ortiz sat on the next cot, leg properly bandaged this time. Doc says I'm going to Germany for surgery. Shrapnel's too deep to pull here. You'll be fine. Yeah. He stared at his hands. Sarge, what you did out there, that was insane, but it saved a lot of lives. I disobeyed direct orders. You saved lives. He met her eyes. That counts for something, right? Maya didn't answer. The corpsman finished cleaning her wounds, moved to the next patient. She stood, testing her legs, sore but functional. Sergeant Reeves, a voice from the tent entrance. A captain she didn't recognize, holding a tablet. Battalion wants your after-action report by 1600, and Colonel Harding wants to see you in his office. Now. Copy. She walked across the base, taking in the damage. Burned vehicles, scorched earth, blast craters, the price of holding the line. Some people would call it worth it. Harding's office was a prefab container with a desk, a fan, and a map covered in red pins. He stood by the map, back to the door. Close it. She did, stood at attention. At ease, Maya, we're past that. He turned, face carved with exhaustion. I should court-martial you. You disobeyed direct orders, twice, endangered yourself and your spotter, conducted combat operations while suspended from duty. Yes, sir. But I'm not going to. He sat down, gestured for her to do the same. Because you were right. Abu Samir was positioning for the attack. If you hadn't been on that wall, if you hadn't taken those shots, we'd have lost the motor pool. Probably the command post too. 20, 30 KIA minimum. Just doing my job, sir. No, you were doing more than your job. You were thinking, adapting, leading. He pulled out a folder, slid it across the desk. That's a Bronze Star recommendation. For valor, for saving lives under fire while wounded and operating outside your assigned duties. Maya stared at the folder, didn't touch it. I don't want it. Too bad. It's already submitted. Harding leaned back. But there's something else. Your psych eval came back. Doctor says you're exhibiting signs of acute stress reaction. Recommends immediate rotation stateside for treatment. I'm fine. You're not fine. None of us are fine. But you're showing the cracks more than most. He pulled out another folder. Honorable discharge, medical basis, full benefits, clean record. You'd be home in 2 weeks. And if I refuse, then you finish the deployment, but you're off sniper duty. Permanently. I'll assign you to base operations, desk work, radio watch. You'll never touch a rifle again out here. Maya looked at the two folders. One path ended the war. The other buried her in it. Can I think about it? You've got 24 hours, Harding stood. Maya, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've trained 50 snipers. You're the best I've ever seen. But you're also the first one who still has a soul left to save. Don't waste that. She saluted. He returned it. She left. Outside, the sun was high and merciless. Soldiers moved through their routines, repairing damage, cleaning weapons, writing letters home. The war went on. It always did. Maya walked to the perimeter wall, looked out at the ruins. Somewhere out there, Abu Samir was doing the same, looking back at the base, at her. Two professionals, separated by distance and circumstance, bound by the same violence. She wondered if he struggled with it too, if he saw the faces, if he counted the ghosts. She'd never know. That evening, Maya sat in the mess hall, picking at lukewarm chili mac when the boy walked in. She didn't recognize him at first. He was clean, wearing new clothes, hair trimmed, but the eyes were the same, ancient, knowing. He walked straight to her table, carrying something wrapped in newspaper. An interpreter followed, a local woman, mid-40s, kind eyes. Sergeant Reeves, the interpreter said, this boy wishes to speak with you. Maya set down her fork. What's he doing here? He was being processed for repatriation. but he refused to leave until he saw you. The interpreter spoke to the boy in Arabic. He responded, urgent and fast. He says he wants to give you something, to thank you. The boy unwrapped the newspaper. Inside was the wooden car, the one Maya had thrown away. He'd found it, cleaned it, fixed the missing wheel with a piece of wire and a button. He set it on the table, pushed it toward her, said something soft. The interpreter translated. He says, "You gave me my life. This is all I have to give back." Maya stared at the toy. The button wheel spun slowly, mismatched but functional. A broken thing, repaired with whatever was available. Still lopsided, still scarred, but whole. She picked it up, turned it over in her hands. "Tell him," her voice cracked, she cleared it. "Tell him thank you, and tell him to stay safe." The interpreter translated. The boy nodded, smiled, small and fragile. Then he did something unexpected. He saluted. A child's approximation of a military salute, fist to forehead, earnest and clumsy. Maya stood, returned it properly. The boy beamed. He left with the interpreter, glancing back once. Maya sat back down, still holding the car. Ortiz appeared, limping over with his tray. "Was that the kid?" "Yeah. He looks good, healthy." He sat down, wincing. "You saved his life, Sarge." "Maybe. Not maybe." Definition. Ortiz stabbed at his chili mac. "You know what I think? I think that's the shot that matters. Not the one you made at Abu Samir. Not the 11 hostiles you dropped during the attack. That one. The decision to go get him when everyone said not to. That decision almost got us killed. But it didn't, and he's alive because of it." Ortiz met her eyes. "That's a win, Sarge. Maybe the only real one we get out here." Maya set the car on the table between them. It listed slightly, the button wheel wobbling. Imperfect. Alive. "Maybe," she said quietly. At 0200, Maya stood in Harding's office again, the two folders on his desk. He sat behind them, waiting. "I'm taking the discharge," she said. Harding nodded slowly. "Good. That's the right call." "I don't know if it is, but it's the one I'm making." She pulled out his journal, set it on the desk. "I wrote in it, hope that's okay." "It's your story now, too." He didn't open it. "What will you do? Stateside?" "I don't know. Figure out who I am without the rifle. Like you said." She paused. "What about you, sir?" "Me? I'll finish this deployment. Maybe one more after that. Then I'll retire. Go somewhere quiet. Try to remember what silence sounds like." He smiled, sad. "Maybe I'll write a book. Confessions of a Sniper. Think it'd sell?" "Only if you leave out the parts that matter. Then it'd be a bestseller." They shared a tired laugh. Then Harding stood, extended his hand. "It's been an honor, Maya. You're the best shooter I've ever trained. But more than that, you're the best person. Don't lose that." She shook his hand. "Try to come home, sir. There's more to life than this." "I'll try. No promises." She left his office, walked across the silent base, stopped at the perimeter wall one last time. The ruins stretched endlessly, a graveyard of empires and ambitions. Somewhere out there, Abu Samir was looking back. She wondered if they'd ever meet without rifles between them. Two teachers comparing notes on what war had taught them. Probably not, but the thought was enough. The C-130 left at dawn, carrying 20 soldiers rotating home. Maya sat in the cargo bay, rifle case between her knees, duffel at her feet. Everything she owned fit in 2 bags. 6 years of war, reduced to 90 pounds of gear and memories. Ortiz sat next to her, leg in a cast, already asleep before takeoff. Around them, soldiers talked quietly, laughed nervously, stared at nothing. The 1,000-yard stare, they called it. The look of people who'd seen too much and couldn't unsee it. The plane lifted off. Through the small window, Maya watched Kirkuk shrink away. The base became a dot. The city became texture. Iraq became geography, then atmosphere, then memory. She pulled out the wooden car, turned it over in her hands. The button wheels spun freely now, smooth with handling. She'd carried it for 3 days, unable to put it down. A talisman against forgetting. That from the kid? A voice beside her. Staff Sergeant Jennings, the other sniper, heading home after 8 months on the line. Yeah, good luck charm? Something like that. Maya pocketed it. You ever think about the people we've killed? Wonder who they were? Jennings was quiet for a long moment. Every day, but if I think about it too long, I can't function. So I compartmentalize, lock it away, deal with it later. When's later? Hell if I know. He stared at his hands. My wife says I'm different, says I don't smile anymore. Don't laugh. Just sit in the garage and clean guns that are already clean. What do you tell her? That I'm fine, that I just need time. He looked at Maya. But I don't think time fixes this. I think we're just broken in ways civilians can't understand. Maybe we don't have to be. Maybe. He didn't sound convinced. But good luck with that. The plane climbed higher. The desert disappeared beneath clouds. Maya closed her eyes, listening to the engine's roar. She dreamed of faces, 43 of them, Harding had said. She'd killed fewer, maybe 20, confirmed, but she saw more. Hundreds. Everyone she'd watched through a scope. Everyone who died within her field of view. Guilty and innocent. Soldiers and civilians. The killed and the saved. They all looked the same in dreams, all asking the same question. Was it worth it? She didn't have an answer. Ramstein Air Base, Germany. The plane touched down at 1400 local time. Wounded were offloaded first, then the rest. Maya stepped onto European soil for the first time in 2 years, blinking in sunlight that felt gentler somehow, softer, like violence hadn't touched it yet. Processing took 3 hours. Medical screening, psych evaluation, paperwork. She answered questions on autopilot, checking boxes, signing forms. Yes, she'd been in combat. Yes, she'd witnessed casualties. Yes, she was experiencing difficulty sleeping. No, she didn't have thoughts of self-harm. The last one was a lie. But it was the lie they wanted to hear. By 1800, she had her orders. 2 weeks in Landstuhl for evaluation, then rotation to Fort Campbell for out-processing. 90 days, and she'd be civilian. Free. Lost. She found a phone bank, called her sister. Maya? Rebecca's voice, shocked and thrilled. Oh my God, where are you? Germany, heading home soon. Home? Like staying? Yeah, I'm getting out. Silence. Then Rebecca's voice, cracking. Thank God. I was so scared. Mom was so scared we thought. I'm okay. Another lie. I'll be in Kentucky in a few weeks. Then I'll come see you. Promise? Promise. They talked for 20 minutes. Rebecca's kids were growing. Her husband got promoted. Their mom was having knee surgery but would be fine. Normal life, continuing without Maya. The world had kept spinning while she was gone. It felt alien, unreal, like someone else's life. She hung up, sat in the empty phone bank, and cried. Not from sadness, not from relief, just from the sheer weight of transition. Of leaving one world and entering another without a map. The psychiatric evaluation at Landstuhl was conducted by a Navy doctor named Commander Patricia Wells. She was 50, gray-haired, with the calm demeanor of someone who'd heard every horror story and learned not to flinch. How are you feeling, Sergeant Reeves? Fine. That's what everyone says. Wells smiled gently. Let me rephrase. How are you sleeping? 4 hours a night, sometimes less. Nightmares? Sometimes. What do you dream about? Maya hesitated then. Faces. People I've killed. People I couldn't save. They don't say anything. Just look at me. And how does that make you feel? Guilty, angry, confused. Maya's hands twisted in her lap. I did my job. I followed orders. I saved lives. But it doesn't feel like enough. Enough for what? To justify the cost. Wells wrote something. Tell me about the cost. So Maya did. She talked about Abu Samir, about the boy with the car, about Harding's journal and the names of the dead. She talked about distance and what it protected and what it destroyed. She talked until her voice was hoarse and her eyes were dry and she had nothing left to say. Wells listened, nodded, understood. Sergeant Reeves, what you're experiencing is normal. Not easy, not comfortable, but normal. You've spent years training yourself not to feel, not to connect, because connection makes the job impossible. But now the job is over, and you're being forced to reconnect with the parts of yourself you shut down. How do I do that? Slowly, with help, with therapy, with time. Wells leaned forward. But here's what I want you to understand. You're not broken. You're adapting. The skills that kept you alive over there, emotional distance, hypervigilance, compartmentalization, they don't serve you here. So your brain is trying to recalibrate. It's going to be messy. It's going to hurt, but it's necessary. And if I can't, then we'll deal with that too. But I think you can. You're already starting. Wells closed her notebook. You saved a child, Maya, against orders, against logic, because you chose humanity over mission. That's not the action of someone who's lost themselves. Maya pulled out the wooden car, set it on the desk between them. He gave me this, after, like it was payment. Wells picked it up, examined it. It's not payment, it's a reminder that you're capable of more than destruction, that even in war you can choose creation, choose life. She handed it back. Maya pocketed it, feeling its weight settle against her chest. I have nightmares about him too, Maya said quietly. The boy. I dream he grows up and picks up a rifle, becomes what I fought against, and it's because I saved him. Do you regret saving him? No, but I wonder if I just prolonged his suffering, if I traded one death for a lifetime of pain. Maybe, or maybe you gave him a chance to choose something different, to break the cycle. Wells stood. That's all any of us can do, Maya. Make the choice we can live with, and hope it's enough. Fort Campbell, Kentucky, 6 weeks later. Maya stood in the parking lot of the transition center, duffel bag at her feet, discharge papers in her pocket. She was officially a civilian. Former Staff Sergeant Maya Reeves, current nobody. A car pulled up, Rebecca's minivan, covered in soccer stickers and dog hair. Her sister jumped out, ran over, grabbed her in a hug that felt too tight and too short at once. You're here. You're actually here. I'm here. You look, Rebecca pulled back, studying her. Tired, thinner, but good. You look good. Liar. Okay, you look like hell, but you're alive. Tears streamed down Rebecca's face. That's enough. They drove to Rebecca's house in Oregon, 14 hours, 2 days, with a stop at a motel that had clean sheets and working locks. Maya barely slept, kept checking exits, kept reaching for a rifle that wasn't there. Rebecca's house was everything Maya had forgotten existed. Lawn, toys scattered in the yard, a golden retriever named Buster who knocked her over with enthusiasm, kids, Emily, 7, and Jake, 5, who stared at her like she was a soldier from a movie. Are you a hero? Emily asked. Maya knelt down. No, sweetheart, I'm just someone who tried to do the right thing. Did you kill bad guys? Emily, Rebecca pulled her back. We don't ask questions like that. But Maya held up a hand. It's okay, she looked at the girl. Yes, I did, because that was my job. But I also saved people. That was my job too. Both things are true. Emily nodded, satisfied, ran off to play. Maya stood. Rebecca was crying again. I'm sorry, Rebecca said. I'm so glad you're home, and I don't know how to help you. You're doing it, just by being here. Maya picked up her duffel. Where do I sleep? Guest room, upstairs. I made the bed, put fresh towels out. Maya climbed the stairs, found the room. It was small, clean, safe. A window overlooked the backyard, where the kids were playing with Buster. Normal life, continuing. She set the wooden car on the nightstand. It sat there lopsided and perfect, a reminder of choices and costs. Her phone buzzed, a text from Harding. Made it home alive, officially retired. Coffee sometime? She smiled, typed back, definitely. Stay safe, old man. Then she lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling, and tried to imagine what came next. The nightmares would continue. The faces would return. Abu Samir would always be out there, somewhere, living his own parallel life of regret and survival. The war would never truly end. But for the first time in 6 years, Maya Reeves was home. And that was enough. For now.